Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on business continuity through the COVID-19 outbreak. My name is Dave Newick. I'm the Managing Director of Arken.legal, and throughout the course of this webinar, you're going to hear from Samantha Warner. So hello to you, Samantha.
Good morning.
Samantha's our Head of Legal Content, so she's going to be talking to you about some of the documents that you can use throughout this crisis or this time that we're going through. And of course, we've got Pippa Shepherd, who is the Head of Customer Engagement. Good morning to you, Pippa.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dave.
And the person who you won't hear from, but who is pulling the strings and organising the webinar is Jessica Furbank, who a lot of you will know. She is our Customer Success Manager. So good morning to you too, Jess. Now, for those of you that haven't been in a webinar with Arken.legal before, you'll see here that you've got a panel up to the right-hand side, and that panel enables you to ask questions. So please feel free to do so. We'd love to hear from you. This is as much about us trying to share information with you as it is for you to share information with us and with the other clients in the group. Now, we've got 60 minutes, so we can't hope to cover everything that needs to be covered. So what we've done, if we can go to the next slide there, please, Jess, is to cover off the things that you have been asking us about to date. And we have absolutely no doubt that what's going to happen is that things are going to evolve and change as we start to consider some of the challenges that we get involved or that we have confronting us over the next little while. So before I pass on to Pippa, who's going to talk about the business process aspect in terms of remote working, which is one of the areas that you wanted us to really focus on, I'm going to talk about the legacy and some of the opportunities that we've got in the market as well. And then we're going to go to Samantha, who's going to talk about the key documents, as I mentioned before, then back to Pippa, who's going to talk about marketing, particularly who and how we should go about doing that, because that's a real consideration in terms of the times that we're living in. And then the webinar will come back to me for the summary, and we should get things done within sort of 55 minutes to an hour or so, and then hopefully we'll have time for some questions afterwards. Now, a couple of things just to bear in mind here, and that is that both Pippa and I are in self-isolation and have been so for a week after showing some symptoms. Some of those symptoms include some coughing, so please excuse us if we have to pause to take a break if we do start to cough. The other thing is that we're in 4 different locations because we're all working from home, and because of that, you may well hear teenagers demanding food, or you may well hear dogs barking or other domestic noises. So apologies in advance if that happens as well. Now, we live in some interesting times, don't we? There's certainly some challenges that we've got, and some of those challenges are in and around remote working. And obviously, we've got in the webinar today a range of different practices. Some of those are very large practices, and all the way through to individual will writers who are perhaps working from home. And so whilst all of those businesses are different and they have a different complexity and a different scale of problems, we are all bound by the same sorts of challenges in terms of our business process being interrupted and having still to need to go on and carry out our activities. So we're going to deal in the webinar a lot with remote working and how to take instructions remotely. One of the problems that's been discussed or raised with us has been in and around how to execute wills, of course, because that is really critically important. Marketing sensitively, I mentioned that before, talking about the documents that are relevant, and some of the security aspects, and I'll just cover that off now. And look, that very quickly in a nutshell, as soon as you move outside of your existing organization, then you are at more risk, because of course you're then working with home Wi-Fi environments, and therefore there is more risk of people who are taking advantage of this happening and hacking into records and things. And so please do be very aware of the security risks that you have in in your change of circumstance and moving to a remote working environment. Now, we won't have all the answers to present to you today. Certainly some of the things in and around signatures and witnessing are complex, tricky issues, and we are having conversations with the Law Society and different organisations to see what may be possible if this thing drifts on. Obviously, digital signatures is probably the most logical kind of short-term answer, but we're some way away from doing that. On the ID side of things, if that is an issue for you, because typically people came into the office and you took a view of a passport or something like that, we have also been in discussions with an organisation called Third Fort. Please do get in touch with us if you'd like their details. That offers the same identification process online and digitally that the banks use, so some of these challenger banks, and we can access that for you. We haven't integrated that yet, which is a very early stage conversation, but that I think would be something that would be relevant for you. And if you are looking for advice in and around probate or LPAs, then the various different government bodies obviously will have their own challenges and their own communications in and around that, and we'll monitor those and talk to people and present to you any information that we uncover, of course. And lastly, just on that side of things, the post and couriers. So if you're a business that is perhaps very much used to working around paper, and you have a large number of paper files, and that is proving quite problematic for you, then again, do please get in touch with us. We do have a solution for you. There's an organisation that we were talking to yesterday who can offer to digitise those files for you. So one of the things to bear in mind is that while we don't have all the answers, we're continuing to search for different things, and one of the things that we will attempt to do over the next little while is to put together a list of helpful businesses that you may find useful to resolve problems, and which could well feed into remote working and all of the business process things that we're going to talk about today. So please communicate with us. Do tell us what your challenges are. Do tell us whether there's things that you would specifically like us to assist with. We're very keen to be able to help. Now, before I pass across to Pippa, one of the things I just wanted to frame up in this webinar was that we live in this time where it's very easy to get bound up in the chaos personally and the chaos professionally, because there's just so much change to have to absorb. And it's very easy to focus on that. And the comment that I make on that is that it's really critical and important for businesses of all sizes to not lose sight of your strategic objectives, because there are opportunities, and your strategic objectives may well still be achieved, albeit that it may well be on a different basis via a different range of strategies than perhaps you had imagined would be the case. So don't lose sight of your strategic objectives is the first point I'd make. The second point I'd make is that in and around the legacy of this, look, it's happened, we're in it, we have to deal with it, and our mindset itself is fairly critical in terms of the way that we can go about being successful in this next testing little period. And so I ask you again, when you start to think about your strategic objectives, to start thinking about what the legacy is that you would want out of this challenging time. Because it may well be that there is a very positive legacy for you. It may well be that it is not a negative and completely, totally devastating time for everybody. I'm sure there will be tough times, don't get me wrong, but our mindset may well be able to help us in terms of focusing on the things that we want to achieve over this period regardless, because that will give us a strong sense of purpose. In terms of the legacy, one of the legacies that could exist is that if your organisation has been struggling to get the degree of digitization or perhaps the degree of change that you're wanting to introduce to your business, then perhaps this represents an opportunity to do that. Perhaps there's a real focus in and around the customer experience and a renewed focus on actually who your customers are and how they want to buy and how we talk to our customers as well. So there's lots of different things that can happen. Overall, I would hope that as a legacy for the industry, for the community, for all of us as individuals, that we have a legacy of being able to collaborate more, that we have a legacy of being able to talk to other people and be concerned about them, and to be more empathetic and be more aware of the people who are around us and some of the things that they are struggling with. And I think that if we all go into it with a mindset around that potentially being a very positive legacy, along with many, many others that can occur, then we can make the most of what is a tough situation. But that's enough from me to start with. What I am going to do is pass you across to Pippa Shepherd, who is going to talk to you about business process. Pippa.
Thanks, Dave. Good morning, everybody. As Dave said, I'm Pippa Shepherd. I'm head of the customer engagement here at Arken. As Dave has touched on, this isn't a comprehensive look at everything, every possible business process that you can do today, or every marketing idea. Hopefully this is a starter for 10, get you thinking, give you an overview of the kind of things that you can think about as a business and where we can help. But our teams are here, so please, we're all working remotely. Phone us, email us, talk to us about any different business process you have, how we can help, or if we can recommend any other suppliers that's going to help you in the challenges you have for remote working in particular. Now, we have a wide range of businesses on the call today. We've got very large organisations, we've got sole operators, so please bear with me. Not all the information will be relevant to all of you, but hopefully there'll be a lot of takeaways for you all throughout what we're talking about today. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about remote working and how to set up remote working. I mean, technology has such an important part to play here. It assists remote working. There's so many tools out there, and we can talk to you about some of them, some of the ones that we use, but there's so much that you can do from a remote location these days. So Skype, I think everybody understands Skype, what that's there for, video conferencing. If you've got Office 365, the use of Microsoft Teams, it's something that we're using now. You can have chat facilities, you can have team meetings via video conference, and all those kind of things that you can do there. Really good, really useful, and could be at no extra cost if you're using Office 365. There's lots of other video conferencing out there. We're using GoToWebinar today. They have GoToMeeting that we use frequently, the Zoom. One of the things I've put here is voice over internet protocol. So this effectively allows you to manage calls over the internet. So people can phone us in the office today, and it's routing to our mobile phones. We can call out from our mobile phones using the office number. So it's all very seamless for the end client there. And use of cloud technology, I mean, that is really important when you're choosing any new technology, especially in the short term, that you think about cloud, because you have and look into the cloud security as well of those providers that Dave mentioned, to make sure they're investing properly in their servers and in your data and your data security. But cloud technology is there for everything from file sharing to data sharing to call handling. And you can even use tools out there where clients can schedule a quick call with you, something like Calendly, for example, and you can really try and digitize and help, especially if you're getting a lot of inquiries. A lot of our clients have been talking about how busy they've been over the last few days as people are very concerned. So there's lots of tools out there. Talk to us, get in contact if you want any recommendations. But let's look at the practical side of working from home. You know, what software isn't available outside the office you might need? What are the chains of responsibility? Who do people report to? How are you going to go through draft documents, do peer reviews? Do your clients know that you can work with them remotely? What information's in the office that you might need online now? So many of you might already be working at home and be signing in from home for this webinar, but think about as well in terms of anything visual or anything that you would pick up organically within the office, and how you can use technology to do that. I mean, one of the things we have, for example, is we keep a log of how many different users have different CRMs or other solutions, so we can prioritize things like integrations for our clients there. And we can't have that. We can't add to it at the moment. None of us are in the office, but we've been using Microsoft Office's OneNote. So that is like a virtual filing cabinet. So you can store things in there, in pages, in different folders, and people can access it. So us as a team, we can still add to anything that we would have there. The other thing is, you might have a lot of feedback or stuff that you pick up in the office just because you're in the office. So if somebody's phoned up and they've had a really good experience and somebody said, oh, that wasn't that nice, Mrs. Smith has just phoned up and said how happy she is. You kind of miss that, and you need that feedback to keep you going. So again, get people to log it in Excel spreadsheets that are shared or in OneNote, so that you can go over that as a team. You can see that, and it can keep you motivated and see where you're doing things right and doing things wrong. I mean, the chain of responsibility and how everything works for you remotely is really important, and especially those peer reviews, any mentoring that you've got in place, version control of documents, all of those are available with different technology there. So please get in touch if you need any practical assistance. It can also have the added benefit of cutting down on paper. And when we all go back to the office, I think paper usage will be really minimised, because remote working is forcing us to do that. So there can be real benefits to it as well. Other things like Dave was talking about scanning and getting informations in, think about things like these remote virtual filing cabinets to hold all this, or to start building that kind of thing from now. So it would be a nice legacy, as Dave was mentioning. If I move on then and talk about remote working, but from a staff culture perspective, and this is a difficult one. How do you integrate with your teams? How do you keep morale high? How do you maintain productivity and positivity? How do you keep that culture that you may for many years have been trying to build and change? How do you maintain that? And who are those vulnerable staff where this is going to be an issue? We are in times of unprecedented change. We've not seen anything like that before, and you do need to be looking after those vulnerable staff. And these are staff that may basically just not like change, for one, and therefore find the change to remote working very challenging. But add on to that all the worries over their health of their family and their loved ones, how they're going to manage and balance like homeschooling and working. They may live by themselves and feel very isolated and lonely. Their work might be their social life. And you have to look at all of this from a leadership perspective to ensure that you're managing this throughout. And I think Dave mentioned it earlier, they really will be looking for strong leadership from you all. So that's really important. But I think the other thing is about honesty. It's about not trying to pretend that we're not where we are, but because your culture will change, but you do want to keep as much of the good as you possibly can. Keep people together, keep morale high. But also, if you work by yourself and you haven't got teams that we're talking about in terms of culture, and you've been out, you're used to going out all the time, meeting your clients, interacting, engaging with society, and now you're stuck at home, that's hard as well. That is really hard. So keep those lines of communications open with your clients and with the people out there in the community. And we'll talk a little bit about how to do that from a marketing perspective and the different business processes we'll work through. But it is really important that you look after yourselves as well, and give us a call if you just want to talk all that through. So we thought we'd just show you at Arken what we're doing, give you some ideas there if you've got teams and how you can potentially work from home well. And from the technical side, we can help and advise on different, or give recommendations of different tools. We are well positioned from that point of view to move to working from home very easily. We did issue a new working from home policy, however, or in the process of doing that, just so everybody understands this new world of working from home and the expectations there and the support that we can give them. We do use cloud technology. We've got our own solutions, obviously, but we use email and video conferencing. We're doing cloud for client billing activities, for CRM, for internal liaison, for Microsoft Office, for Teams, for OneNote. So there's lots of different technology. So please don't be stuck. Give us a call. But I just thought I'd share, we share the same challenges as everybody else when it comes to staff morale. We're a small organisation, but we're a very close one. We do have top tips on home working we can send out to you. There's a lot out there on the internet already, but things like sticking to a routine, getting dressed as if you're going to work, try and keep your workspace separately from your home space so you can move between one and the other, go for walks if and when you can, all of that kind of stuff. But to add on to that, we've made sure that all of our staff are going to be using webcams. You know, a lot of the laptops have them, but we're trying to supply webcams to those that are on desktops, so we can physically see the staff on a day-to-day basis. Those visual clues will really tell you how well they're doing, as well as their verbal communications. You can see them, you can see how they are coping with it all. One thing that we've done is introduce daily stand-up and sit-downs. So at the start of each day, we use Microsoft Teams and we all jump on a call. So I have all my team, we jump in, we all see each other, we can share what our priorities are for the day, maintains that productivity, maintains that team spirit, and we all know what we're doing and people feel that they've got a purpose. It is constant connection and it keeps that going. The stand-up is really for day planning. The sit-down is more, how are you? How's the day's gone? What are clients saying? What feedback are we getting? What are we seeing happening? Anybody worried about the changes that have been announced today, etc., etc. So I think that is really working well, and I think the staff appreciate that. We've also challenged the staff to share something positive with the rest of the group on a daily basis. So we have a WhatsApp group that is sending memes and all that kind of thing about working from home and the days in quarantine, just to keep spirits up. We're having more regular leadership team meetings, so we're having 2 virtual meetings a week. I think people are looking for leadership at this time, so it's important that we keep on top of anything, any changing news, and be able to respond to the team and the wider organisation as part of that. We have actually also done a 4 o'clock on a Friday quarantinis. So we're having a virtual drink at the end of each week for catching up socially, seeing how people are, and just having a social interaction as well. I've put here a needed service. This is all about purpose. So why are we still doing what we're doing every day? And I think that is really important. I think we are one of these industries that can keep going, and people need and people wanting support, and we're delivering a service there that people need and want. You know, we are needed, we are helping at this time in the way that we can, and that's really important. You might think it's quite strange we have John. John is one of our developers, and you know, naturally very hardworking, very fun guy, but he's also one that is leading the way in keeping our spirits up. And John, if I just share with you here, is dressing up differently every day. Now we're going to be sharing this out on social media, so follow us to see what John's wearing each day. The leprechaun outfit, or whatever we've got at the top right there, is today's special, but we've had tuxedos, we've had Hawaiian shirts. Find that person in your team, in your company, that can keep something going, can keep people's interest up. Look to see what John is wearing each day. So please try and keep a bit of fun. It's a serious time, but we need to help our staff through it at the same time. Okay, so let's move on a little bit and talk about business process. So if your business process was visiting your clients in their homes, or they come to see you in your offices, then it does need to change. This change can be positive, it can help you maintain, and it can help you grow your business. Now, it is hard to talk about maintaining and growing your business at this time. People are worried about health, you know, but we do have a role, and don't apologise for trying to get opportunity and to keep your business going during this time. We shouldn't apologise about it. There is a need. Clients need us. We've spoken to so many of our clients in the last few days that the demand is growing at the moment. People are worried, and we can give that peace of mind, that take that worry away from them. So it is needed. There's a need from the individual that's out there in the marketplace. Our economy needs some of elements of our society to keep going, some elements of our economy to keep going, and keep adding to society there and to the economy. And we have a duty to our staff, to our families, to our companies, to keep it going, keep them afloat, and hopefully be there longer and stronger, as Dave was saying, when the end of this lockdown happens. So growth is good. It's good for you. It's good for staff. It's good for morale. It's good for your clients, and it's good for our economy. So there are different models. I'm just going to talk about 3 different case studies this morning, but please come and talk to us. It's possible to have many different variations of these. I encourage you to talk to me, my team, about any particular needs you have. So we're going to be looking at telephone instruction taking, we're going to be looking at virtual meetings, and we're going to be looking at online wills. There are other considerations to take place. I know some of you on the call today have instruction taking networks, which is where people remotely were going to visit clients and taking their instructions on a handwritten basis. And you'd either post those into the office, which can't happen now, or you'd be scanning those and sending them into the office. Now, most of us in a home office, we haven't got 2 screens, we haven't got printers that can take large volumes. So, you know, those kind of things are going to be much more difficult to draft, from having to keep flicking from one screen to another, to looking at handwritten instructions that are scanned in, to try and get things posted to different people's houses. So, you know, use technology and think about different ways of getting that information and work remotely and send the instructions in digitally. Talk to us if you want a solution on that. We have Arken Anywhere, which allows for your instruction takers to take the instructions but not see the drafting, not see the documents, but get it through to you digitally. So, you know, do think about the way that you're doing that and how you can speed up that process for your client as well as for yourselves. If you visit your clients or the client visit you, you can do a variety, any of those 3 that I've just mentioned that we're going to be looking at. You can increase productivity at this time by drafting as you interview. I know there's a lot of you that like to have that open relationship with your client, so no computer in between you and the client during the interview, but your client won't know that you're doing that on the phone, so you'll maintain that kind of interaction here, but you can increase productivity by drafting as you go, and the questionnaire will enable you to ask the right questions so you can do it all in that one visit or one meeting. You can increase productivity as well by capturing their details in advance, and that's particularly important if you're a larger organisation and you need to know where you want to put that particular lead, get their information, and then know who to go through. So there's digital fact finds. Again, talk to us, and I'll talk a bit at the end, but this is more about giving you different models to look at. So looking at the telephone instruction taking, again, you can cut this, you can change it any way you like, but effectively you're sending out a digital fact find in advance, you're getting some information in there, you can allocate that right resource from the details they've given you in that fact find. You can get them to book their own times using tools like Calendly, or you can phone them at an appointed time and just do it over the phone like this. You can run them through those instructions, you can go through the questionnaire, live drafting as you're talking to them. You can complete it afterwards, send them drafts, send them the full amounts on email, password protect that. You can have follow-up calls, teaching them how to get it all to sign or talking them through that process. You can do all of that over the phone, and that's really important that you can do that, do it in exactly the same way. They're still getting the same service, the same level of expertise that you are giving them, the same level of advice. You're just doing it on the phone using tools to easily help draft. Now, there is another solution with the virtual meeting. There is no difference really between this and the one before. We're looking here for digital fact finds to get the information, allocate your resources. The difference is now you're going to be carrying out that interview as if you were in the office, so they can see you, you can see them. It's very simple to get set up on these web conferencing, that you can share your screen even and talk them through it. The key benefit here that you've got is that you can get those visual clues. You can see how they're reacting to advice. You can see what they're worried about. You can see who's there with them. You can hear who's there in the room and influencing or talking about that. You can pick up your non-verbal clues. And overall, that's key, especially if you're a very personal business and doing a will is a very personal exercise. You can have that one-to-one relationship and keep going with that in a digital way. So it is more personal as part of that. Now, online wills, here's another one for you. Now, online wills won't be right for everybody. We estimate about 70% of people's wills could be done online. That are simpler instructions that don't have any complications in terms of trusts and inheritance tax, etc. So this could be a solution for 70% of your wills. It is more hands-off approach, but it's very valuable and a lot quicker if your demand is high. These things can be hosted on your website. You can send links through to clients. You can market it to other areas of your business. You can set your criteria. You can set offer levels, pricing, or if you just want to offer it that they put all their instructions in and then you're giving them that advised service on the phone without them being able to self-complete, you can do that as well. So there's lots of options for you there to do. It's all done digitally, everything's sent out by email. You still get the excellent things like commentaries and included within our online wills anyway. So there's lots of opportunities there to use that for. The other market that it is quite useful for is the millennials. Some of the millennials might be worrying. They are the ones that are gaining assets and liabilities, children, properties. They're getting married. They might be unmarried, in partnerships with children or with property. So online wills is a really good way to encourage them to protect themselves, especially at this time. But what you also want to do is be able to filter out those 30% that need more complex support. And you can link the online wills with digital fact finds and then move through to, the methods 1 or 2, the telephone or the virtual meeting one as well. So online wills is a really, really strong option for a lot of people at the moment. It is a nice income generator as well. Completely hands-off, you don't have to do anything, but you're still earning money in this time. So please again talk to us about that. But that's kind of 3 different options of looking how you can adapt your processes during this time. I'm now going to pass on to Sam, who is just going to talk you through about the key documents at this time and any further advice on what you can give your clients. Sam?
Oh, good morning. I'm going to take you through some of the key documents that clients should be thinking about right now. Apologies if some of this is information you already know, but we do have a wide range of people listening in today, so please bear with me. The demand for wills has increased by about 30% since the outbreak of COVID-19 in this country, and this is not surprising given the tragic mortality rate amongst older people who are the most likely to make wills in any event. And while we, like everyone else, deeply regret the circumstances which have catalysed this new focus on estate planning, it's our strongly held view that everyone over 18 should always have a valid will, because the consequences of dying intestate can be very serious indeed. And Arken would like to do everything it can to support you in giving your clients peace of mind, especially in these difficult times. The beauty of the Arken product suite is that will instructions can be taken remotely and completed will documents securely emailed to clients with password protection to enable them to execute their will at home. And it is perhaps worth reiterating to clients that while witnessing requirements for wills is stringent, it is not necessary to come into a lawyer's office to complete the attestation. There must simply be 2 adult independent people who have both seen the testator sign and who are prepared to act as witnesses. The Wills Act is actually fairly non-prescriptive as to who can act as a witness to a will, but witnesses should not be potential beneficiaries to the will. And the more independent of witnesses, the more likely it is that a will be upheld in court if it is challenged. Ordinarily, we would give the advice that witnesses should not be the testator's husband, wife, or civil partner, any of their other family members, any of the intended beneficiaries, the husband, wife, or civil partner of the intended beneficiaries, anyone who is a minor, anyone who is blind or partially sighted, or anyone who doesn't have sufficient mental capacity to understand what they are witnessing. But because witnesses don't have to read the contents of a will, we'd suggest that there's absolutely nothing wrong with advising clients to go to the local corner shop operators or, if they're not in total isolation, or ask food delivery drivers or the milkman to witness their will if they're in full isolation, as long as both witnesses actually witness the testator's signature at the same time. And this is absolutely critical to ensure validity. So given the identity of witnesses is governed by best practice, Not all of the suggested prohibited people are necessarily a legal requirement, and it's not known how much leeway the courts would give to witness signatures that are not best practice witnesses. For example, if you had a 17-year-old witness a will, so a minor but almost 18. There is in the current climate a huge need for digital signatures for estate planning documents, but as Dave said, unless something is rushed through by the government as an emergency measure, it's likely that this is still some way off. Whilst we would hope that the courts would take a pragmatic approach to available witnesses on the basis that any witness is better than no witness, we'd strongly suggest that clients are still urged to get 2 best practice witnesses, if at all possible, because nothing in the legislation has actually changed. The beauty of creating wills digitally, though, is that they can easily be re-executed with more appropriate witnesses as required and as possible. But with all the focus on wills at the moment, it must be remembered that according to government reports, over 99% of people will recover from the virus if they get it. However, getting the virus does mean a period of self-isolation and probably a degree of incapacity while recovering, in which case it is vital that some thought is given to who is able to manage the financial affairs of the incapacitated person while they are unwell or isolated. For example, applications for stays of rent may need to be made, applications to the bank for an extension of an overdraft may be necessary if the person were unable to work, applications to stay mortgage payments, and even authority to draw down on a bank account to meet household bills. And all of these may be impossible unless the incapacitated person has appointed an attorney to act on their behalf. And it may come as a surprise even to couples that if they have a joint bank account requiring 2 signatories, if one spouse becomes incapacitated due to illness, the other would potentially have to get court approval to be able to operate the account in the absence of a general or lasting power of attorney. And there's also a further concern for business owners should the country go into full lockdown if they were unable to physically get to their business to manage it. So 2 options at the moment that could potentially help in these situations are creating a general power of attorney or a lasting power of attorney. And this can be in respect of all financial affairs or only part of them. For example, just a bank account or just a business. The major difference between general and lasting powers of attorney is that a general power will only remain effective so long as the donor retains mental capacity, whereas an LPA remains valid even if the donor loses mental capacity. The main disadvantage with an LPA in the current circumstances is that it will need to be registered before it can be used, and registration can take several weeks at the best of times. It is completely uncertain how the coronavirus outbreak will affect OPG processing times at the moment, so it could be considerably longer than normal. An LPA will also need to be signed by the donor and the attorney, but both documents, both a general and lasting power of attorney, will need to be independently witnessed before it can be used. The general power of attorney does not require registration, mainly because it's automatically revoked as soon as the donor loses capacity. Given COVID-19 is primarily a physical condition, it may be prudent at this time to suggest that clients create a general power of attorney for immediate use, but also they create an LPA and register it immediately to be used in the event that mental capacity were ever lost. Both documents can be created in Arken with information being pulled between them or directly from the client manager, and the same witnesses could be used, although for an LPA at least one certificate provider will also be required. And once clients have established what will happen to their finances and assets should they become incapacitated as a result of COVID-19, they really should be asked important questions around who they wish to make decisions in relation to their healthcare should they become sick. A lasting power of attorney and/or an advance decision would allow clients to record what is important to them and how they wish to be treated, giving them advance control over future treatment and welfare conditions. And beginning to think about difficult decisions well in advance of such decisions becoming necessary allows for clear, rational, and informed choices. In the absence of clear direction from an advance decision or from an attorney under a health and welfare LPA, doctors, often in consultation with the next of kin, will make decisions based upon what is in a patient's best interest if they are incapacitated and cannot decide for themselves. There is always the risk that the decisions taken would not be in accordance with what the patients themselves would have wanted, and even that the next of kin who is consulted might not be the person that the patient would have trusted with such fundamental decisions. A further concern at the moment is that patients are often isolated because of the risk of contagion, so the next of kin may not be physically present at the hospital when the decisions need to be made. So even more direct than an LPA is an advance decision which records the wishes of the patient and gives the directions directly and in a legally binding manner to the health professional. The Arken product suite has been created so that LPAs and advance decisions can be drafted in parallel so that the existence of one doesn't invalidate the other. And as such, it would seem prudent in the current climate to have both an advance decision and an LPA in respect of health and welfare, so that the best and most trusted person should be able to make decisions in respect of the health and welfare of a patient, but in their possible absence, an advance decision could give binding instructions as to the client's wishes directly to their health professional. Both advance decisions and LPAs need to be signed and independently witnessed, and an LPA also needs to be signed by the attorney, and that signature needs to be witnessed, and there needs to be a certificate provider. Wills, both types of LPAs and advance decisions can all be drafted in Arken, and once the will is drafted, it is a matter of a few more mouse clicks to bring the information across into the other documents. This makes it quick and easy to give your clients peace of mind that their personal, healthcare and financial arrangements will be managed in accordance with their wishes should they become ill. And it makes sense to encourage clients to create all documents at the same time, not just to protect their best interests in advance of their potentially becoming unwell and incapacitated, but also to aid the efficient execution of the various documents. If witnesses are available at a will signing, it is a matter of a few more moments to sign the other documents as well. We've created more detailed webinars on the nature and requirements of each of these documents, which you can view in the tutorial sections of Arken. But do let us know if you want us to provide any further information about anything covered in this session today, and we will do all we can to support your business while you support your clients at this difficult time. So now I'd like to hand over to Pippa again, who will take you through some of the marketing considerations that you could be facing at the moment.
Thanks, Sam, and I hope you found that session with Sam really interesting there. And just to reiterate what Sam said, please, do email us at info@arken.legal if you want us to send you a link to any of those webinars on any of those particular document types there. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about marketing. It's always difficult to know what to do, what to say in this kind of environment, this kind of time. So I'm going to be looking a little bit about product, looking about how we communicate, what tone we're going to be using, and how what elements of the market do we need to talk to, or can we talk to at this time. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is product. So your offer might need to change. You don't know that what you currently offer is exactly what your clients are looking for at the moment. So listen to them, see when they're here, when they're phoning you up, get some consensus early days to see what your clients are actually asking for you at the moment. For example, Sam's talked about lots of different documents that might be a better package. So are you going to be offering packages of documents all at the same time there, rather than waiting, do the will first and then we'll worry about the LPAs later? See if you can get packages, maybe packaging up in a special offer, special deal, or whatever it happens to be at that moment. Think about what those documents are that might put their minds at rest at the moment. What is it that you want to offer at this precise moment in time to your clients? It may be that you just want to offer simple wills, going through online wills, or just offer them and say, right, we'll put together a very quick, simple will for you. We can get more complex later. Let's get, a two-stage process, get something in today, and over the next couple of weeks, we can work on something more complex. You can look at fixed pricing. You can look at getting more volumes or going to elements of the market that you wouldn't normally to help you keep your business going at the moment. Think simple wills rather than complex, think speed of delivery there, thinking about offering advice. Could you say, right, give me a call, you've got a free 15-minute chat to just use your junior members of staff to answer calls, just to give those people peace of mind and know that you are with them there, and they will come back and hopefully be loyal customers for many years to come. When you're looking at communication, you do need to tell them that you're there, that you're working, how they can contact you. You do need to perhaps inform them of the implications of not having documents in place, the kind of things Sam's just been talking to you about. You do need to think about the channels that you're communicating through. So, you know, there's emails, there's social media, there's websites, there's your clients, current clients, there's groups that you might currently work with. You should definitely be updating your website contact page with any additional information, in regards to availability, how to get in touch, what you'd recommend now at this moment in time. You should increase your social media presence at this point in time in a positive way. So this is another way to connect with your clients, to get new businesses remotely. But use these channels more for thought leadership, for reassurance, for support. This isn't about selling. It's not a time to sell. It's a time to put ourselves out there and tell our clients or prospective clients, we're there if you need us, we're there to help. Be creative. I mean, there's all kinds of tools. We talked about them in remote working, so Zoom or GoToWebinars, where you can make virtual meetings. So if you used to go to the WI meetings or to the local bowls group or to a particular exercise class where everybody got together and that's what you did, then, you know, try and do that. See if you can be the one that brings some social interaction to these groups back, but actually giving us some help and advice at this time and seeing if we can do a wider service there as well. You know, have you ever thought about Facebook Live? A lot of businesses wouldn't necessarily go straight there, but really useful tool. You could have a Facebook Live, you can be answering questions live, you can be doing short sessions on particular documents that might be useful at this time. It's free advice, it's getting advice out there, getting people to understand what they might not even know at the moment is a concern, but we know that people want to have documents in place to help protect their loved ones at this time. So it's really important that we get out there with that message. So think about Facebook Live. You just need a phone and put your camera on, talk about these things. People can join, go out and tell people you're doing that. Small little things like that will just help you get in front of people at this time. But when we're doing all that, the most important thing is about the tone. So whatever communication you've got going out there, be honest. You don't need marketing hooks now. You don't need reasons for selling or your estate planning services at the moment, given the situation we're in. The reasons there, you just need to communicate your quality and accessibility, how they can get in contact with you, that you can contact over the phone interviews. You can do video conferencing if you prefer a more face-to-face approach there. You know, talk about things like unprecedented demand. You know, our users have been saying that people are wanting these things right now. But reassure them that you have the staff, you will get to them, you will prioritize them if they become unwell, that you can actually be there for them and will be there for them all the way through. And that goes to the reassurance and the empathy there. The one thing you can't do is appear to capitalize on the situation. We know you guys won't be, and that's not what you're trying to do, but be very careful in the choice of language you use, how you are presenting yourself and your practice, just to make sure that it comes across with that reassurance, that empathy that we need. You need to be very calm, very professional. Let's not go using any memes or any kind of humor at this point in time to say these are the reasons why you need a will. I think it's just about being there, empathizing with them and saying that you will help them put their affairs in order. You know, connect on that human level, make a will a very personal process. It's very personal time we're all going through, so get that empathy in your communications. your subject line of your emails are really important, and make sure that you spend a lot of time getting those absolutely right. There is so many emails going there at the moment. What you don't want to be doing is using scare tactics and all of that kind of stuff. Just, you know, I'm there, I'm checking in, I'm there if you need me, that kind of thing, rather than saying you need to update your will now. Keep the content short as well. We all like words. We all like to do nice long emails explaining everything about everything. I think keep them very short, very concise at the moment. The world has got so much content right now. So short, concise sentences show that you care for your client. You're there if you need them. Bullet points are helpful. Keep the long personalized conversations for over the phone or for video conferencing. But also make sure they know how they can work with you. They might be clients that have been with you for a very long time, in which case they might be used to working with you in a particular way. Just explain how your new processes are working, how delivery times are affected, you know, manage those expectations right from the beginning. So if we've got the communication right, we know what our product is, we know the tone we're going to be taking, who is it we want to be talking to? Well, there's all kinds of people you can talk to at this point in time. You've got your past clients that you can directly contact. You've got your usual marketplaces, and like I said before, think of different ways of engaging with these guys. You know, you can have the virtual meetings with them, you can do Facebook Live and market out to their Facebook groups. You know, you can get to these people in the same way to give those help and supports. And look for any other social groups that might be, you know, whether it's parents, whether it's you know, people who are going through a bereavement, and that you can help them through probate, etc. Just be sensitive in the way that you do it. A good way to do it is if you can get anybody to do it for you. So a testimonial type approach from your client. If somebody would be willing to go out there and effectively say, look, if any of you are worried and need to update your wills at the moment, I've dealt with this person and they were really good, really helpful. They're running some sessions at the moment. If you want to know more, then go on to that Facebook Live that they're running next Tuesday. Think about new markets, especially if you're in practice here and you've got other departments so that may at this moment in time have just bought a house, or you know that there are unmarried couples there, or they're going through a divorce currently. They might not really understand the rules of intestacy and what will happen if one of them does become unwell and unfortunately passes away. So, you know, it might just be worth reiterating again in a sensitive way, you know, do you understand the laws of intestacy? Can we help you get this in place for you right now as well? So hopefully that's given you a kind of flavour of the kind of things that you can look at from a marketing perspective. The tone is the most important message, though, that I'll leave you with today. Make sure that you get your tone right. Quick slide just on Arken Solutions, just in case you need any assistance in the short term, so you know what we can immediately offer for you and get up and running very quickly. Normally what we do is that you're on 12-month subscriptions for all of our products. We're happy to offer them on a rolling monthly contract at the moment. We've removed any setup fees. We just want to help you get through the short-term change in business process for you there. So right down the bottom we have Online Wills, tried and tested solution, been in the marketplace since the 2009 there. It's got a new look and feel, it's mobile friendly, it's millennial compliant in that respect, but you've got different options you can offer there. You can have a self-service will as long as the clients meet certain screening criteria. You can do a checked will where it comes to you. There's a processing center at the back where you can manage it all. You can even offer an advised service for printing and binding, adding it on. So you choose the price, you customize it to your brand, you decide what service levels you want to offer. You've got access to that processing center, and the wills still come with things like the unique bespoke commentary that Arken does so well for a great client service there, and the added reassurance that it's coming through you, who are their trusted advisor, and that is really important at this time. Other tools we've got, Arken Acquire. This is a remote instruction taking tool. Sorry, this can be used as a remote instruction taking for details from clients. It can capture the client information when the clients can't come into the office, you can't visit them. They supply you with their base data online, their assets and liabilities, marital status, dependents, interest in business and overseas property, feeds into Arken. You can quickly see what's there. You can allocate the appropriate resource for it. But it also has other time savings and risk mitigation benefits for your everyday practice as well. So talk to us if you're interested in that. For those of you with the remote workers, or if you need to go out to hospitals, etc. at this time, then we do have a product that you can use without an internet connection. For instruction takers or people who are taking instructions at the moment remotely, it walks them through the exact same questionnaire, but they don't see the document, they don't see the drafting. So it is an opportunity to use something like that as well to help. Really hope, quick whistle stop tour, but please get in touch if you want any further help or advice. We really do hope this outbreak is soon behind us. If there's any areas at all that we can assist you on, if there's any other webinars you want to see, if there is any documents or any solutions you want to have a demo of, please just let us know. We're there to help. And with that, I'll pass back to Dave, who's going to close.
Hi everyone. Well, thank you, Pippa. Thank you, Sam. That has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure that all of the participants in the webinar would have got a lot out of that. Now, look, we're running short on time because obviously there's a lot to cover inside a 60-minute period, so I'm not going to talk for too long. What I would like to say in closing is that obviously we live in some challenging times, and we've all been through challenging times and perhaps things like the GFC, but never have we been through a time where everyone's been unified by the same sorts of challenges, unless you look back at something like World War II. Now, World War II, obviously, it's, we're not in World War II. We don't have bombers bombing London and England, but it is very similar in many respects. And for those of you that have been in a webinar with me before, you'll know that I'm a bit of a Winston Churchill fan. And so I do always like to include a quote from Winston Churchill. And of course, you can't have a Winston Churchill quote without a picture of a lion. So I thought that was pretty appropriate today. Now, we've talked about a lot today. One of the things that I just wanted to leave with you was that when I was addressing our team on Tuesday post the government announcement, I said to them that the challenges like this can very quickly strip away the veneer from people and from companies and from individuals. And I have absolutely no doubt that for my team, and that for the people in this webinar and for the people in our industry, that if the veneer is going to be stripped away, that what we're going to expose is absolutely solid English oak. And very similar to the time within the World War II, where we had heroes like Winston Churchill and of course all of the armed service men and women, we had the British public themselves who stood up and showed a massive amount of resilience. And I have absolutely no doubt that that is in fact exactly what we're going to end up reflecting on as we come to the end of this period. Now, we've got just a couple of minutes left. Perhaps the easiest way to do things, because we're going to struggle to get through questions now, is for you to contact us. Please do, as Pippa has suggested, feel free to call and discuss any of the things in the webinar. We are looking at other webinars, so if there's specific things that you wanted to cover off, then please do so. One of the ideas for the next webinar is I'm trying to pull together something with an accountancy firm who can help you deal with the financial aspects of how to navigate yourself through a potentially tough financial time. So what is a checklist there? So keep posted. We'll keep you posted for that, and do keep your eyes open for that webinar as well. But look, if you do have questions relating to this, then perhaps the easiest thing to do is just to drop us an email at info@arken.legal, or do feel free to give us a call on that number there. Now, in closing, I would just like to wish you all the very best, the best of health, the best of business, the best of everything to you, your loved ones, and your community. I'm absolutely confident that we will have some challenging time, but I'm also equally confident that we can overcome them. Thank you, and we look forward to speaking with you again.